Alright, what's up everybody? This is an introduction to MLBB lore. We're calling it ML lore. My name is GideonQ, and this is a lot of work. So I got a friend to help me out, and here with me is going to be the one and only HusKKiee. HusKKiee, thank you so much for helping me out with this video, especially with Mobile Legends lore in particular.
Hey, thanks for having me. I am very excited to share about the story of Mobile Legends. There are so many things that goes on. With the recent release of Arlot, I think we have reached 120 total heroes in the game. But the thing is, a lot of us don't really know much outside of the Land of Dawn, right? Our impression of the Land of Dawn is just 5v5, destroy crystal, get out to mythical glory, flex it on social media, and that's it.
That's pretty accurate. I am very guilty of this. I have zero idea about the lore. I think I've like delved into it a little bit here and there for like other bits of content, but for the most part, I've got no clue whatsoever.
A very basic idea, right? The Land of Dawn is its own universe. Think of it as, you know, its own planet, a continent on the planet. It's a big piece of land with various nations, with various people, cultures, tribe, ethnicity, with their own political strife that has so many rich history behind it.
Okay, so what are like some of the key locations that we're going to be like talking about for this video to kind of introduce everybody to the Land of Dawn?
Right, so it consists of several key locations or nations, or you can call it. They're called the Moniyan Empire, the Cadeia Riverlands, the Austria Woodlands, the Vonitis Islands, the Barren Lands, the Drylands, the Northern Vale, and a bunch of special areas, special extraterrestrial realms that we call special areas.
Oh, what are special areas exactly? I don't know. I've got the map up here, and like I'm not seeing like a label for special areas.
Right. So special areas, think of them as places that exist outside the Land of Dawn, where you cannot access them through normal means. You have to go through, you know, rifts, warp holes, and stuff to get to them. And those are also areas that are connected to certain religious beliefs of the people on the Land of Dawn, and some of them are where heroes that we're familiar with come from. Some of them are just, you know, where monsters, you know, used to invade the Land of Dawn.
Okay, all right. So let's start off with something easy. Based on the map, let's go right into the center of it, you know, right in the center of the map.
Yeah, the center of the map is this area, this nation called the Moniyan Empire. It is, as you know, the name suggests, a big empire. It has an old empire, but the one that we're looking at right now is the present empire. We'll save the old one for a video in the future, but it is a kingdom in the Land of Dawn, previously known as Moniyan, and it is basically a nation that is very, very advanced, politically advanced, economically advanced. It's a nation of modern times, and thanks to the political and economic growth, it is, you know, how it is right now. But at the same time, it is also blessed with sorcery, arcane magic, and you know, its own ancient doctrines and religion.
Oh, okay. So are they like the dedicated good guys of like the Mobile Legends universe?
Sort of. You can kind of think of them as the good guys, you know, just impression-wise, because they also worship the Lord of Light, which, you know, has a very positive connotations. And your Lightborn hero skin line, you know, the 5 heroes, they are also from the Moniyan Empire. They're associated with the Empire. But just know that even though it sounds very grand, very righteous, you know, as a kingdom, and it worships, you know, the Lord of Light, it also has its own slew of problems, right? Just like any developed nations, it has its own hierarchy, you know, classes, different classes of citizen. The rich one are at the top, and then those who are middle and you know, lower class in terms of citizens, they live in poverty. And at the same time, the Moniyan Empire is also split into different parts in terms of land, with wastelands in between. And those lands are ruled by different heads of houses, kind of like Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay, so they aren't really the good guys? I don't know, because based on what you're telling me, it kind of sounds like Escape from Tarkov. You just like, send a PMC in, walk out with loot or something. Sometimes you don't walk out at all. Like, what is this?
Definitely better than Tarkov, right? Because they have their own political economic system, like we discussed earlier on. So it is a functioning nation, but just like any first world modern nation, it has a lot of its problem.
Okay. So let's move away from the central area of the Land of Dawn. Let's go a little bit towards the east, right? What's going on there?
So the east, you have the Cadeia Riverlands, very far east. It's inhabited by mostly and primarily the Eastern heroes, the Oriental fighters, kind of like Asia. Yeah, it's kind of Asia. It's cut off from the rest of the world. But the isolation isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's cut off, but it's governed by, the law of harmony and balance. It's like yin and yang.
So
Very Chinese, very Asian.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing a lot of the resemblances here. I'm thinking about like Oriental heroes, the skin line, the heroes alongside with it. Like it's adding up. It's adding up now.
Yeah, there's more to it. It gets better, right? So you have the laws of harmony and balance. It is also a place with a lot of cultural heritage, right? A lot of natural resources, a lot of cultural heritage, but at the same time, this land, because it has so much cultural history, it's like a forgotten land, right? There's a lot of past that the modern inhabitants might not know about because it has such a rich history. But the good thing is that it is filled with nature, and it's like you going to an uninhabited island. There's just so much of flora and fauna there, with harmony as the core, and the people there, they generally worship or adhere to the Great Dragon, which is kind of like their version of a king, or like their version of Buddha.
That's the Asians being ruled by Dragon Emperor.
Yeah,
seems fair. Makes sense to me. All right. So then, like, what about the western side? If this is the east, what is the west?
So the east is Asian. It's Asia. The west, it's kind of like the Middle East, right? And it's a bit ironic that it's the Middle East is in the west, but it is a region, I believe, that has a bit of Egyptian inspiration to it. It's called the Algeta Drylands, right? So basically, big piece of land, primarily sand, desert. It has a lot of history of being colonized and wars back then. Very harsh weather, scorching temperatures, but it has a couple of oases, and those oases are pit stops for travelers and merchants to stop by and kind of rest up before they travel, because there are a lot of people who go through the Drylands to get from one nation to the other for trading purposes. And also at the same time, before I forget, it is also a land that houses this artifact called the Twilight Orb.
What? Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. I got distracted by the Egyptian thing, but what the heck is the Twilight Orb?
So the Twilight Orb is an artifact in the game. Not too much is known about it, but all we need to know right now is that it is a very powerful artifact that possesses immeasurable amount of power, and a lot of the heroes in the Mobile Legends universe want to acquire this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that for now. But then, like, so for the merchants, they go from like oasis to oasis to get to like the other. I'm guessing the other side of the Drylands, like.
Yeah, so the when you enter the border of the Drylands, you would see a lot of ruins, a lot of rubble and debris of what was an ancient city of just booming finance. It's a business hub, kind of like a trade center of the Drylands, and it's all at the border entrances. But of course, that was very, very long ago, during the old empire, ages of the old empire. So right now, it is just rubbles, abandoned buildings, there's nothing else there. So this business hub has completely collapsed. Now merchants, they don't get to do their business there. So the oasis it's kind of like the only pit stop, the only remnants of any signs that people who want to do business, cross by the Drylands. And with the border already kind of becoming an ancient place, the only area that you would see in the dryland that has some sort of life is towards the northern region of the drylands. It is known as the City of Scholars, or called Eruditio, if I remember correctly. So it's TLDR, a city that was part of the old Moniyan Empire, was able to break free of the imperial control, and now it's its own city. And it's now called the City of Scholars.
Oh, so
and
it's
the City of
own-
Sins.
The City of Sins?
Yeah. A lot of shady stuff going on there. Some of our favorite heroes also reside in the City of Scholars. It's inhabited by modern scholars and inventors. So
Okay.
heroes with cybernetics installed like Johnson, Bruno, they are from that region.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So they're their own little independent like nation amongst the rubble. All right.
Yeah.
So okay. So if that's what the West looks like, what about like the Southeast?
The southeast is another kingdom. It's southeast
Mhm.
of the empire. It's called the Austria Woodlands. So this is known as the land of elves, or the elf kingdom, or if you ask, the ancient elves, they would call it Iseria. That's kind of the name of the woodlands back then. And just like the Cadeia Riverlands, it is flourishing with wild flora and fauna, just great natural wildlife, kind of untouched to a certain extent. And the Austria Riverlands, the elves, they worship the moon goddess at a temple called the Lunar Temple, which is at the very center of the land.
So is Estes anyway involved in this area? Because I'm getting a lot of keywords here. I'm getting elves, I'm getting moon goddess, two things that is like in Estes's kit.
Yep, he is the king. He is the king and guardian of the woodlands. And, the woodlands actually went through some strife as well. They are at war, they've been invaded before, and Estes has been able to defend the lands of the elves. Just barely, but they survive thanks to him. And just like any elves that you might have read in different, mythology, they are all bestowed life by the Tree of Life. Just a bit of a reference to Warcraft 3. Same thing, the elves, they're bestowed life by the Tree of Life. So it's kind of like their heart, where they will give their life to protect. So two things, the Moon Goddess and the Tree of Life.
Okay.
But, of course, just like any other lands, they have their own bloody history.
That's a little ominous, because here I'm thinking of like traditional elves, like I'm thinking of like pacifist approach to pretty much everything. I love leaves, I love vegetables, and I mean like, I guess, well, for the most part of it, I'm guessing as to save his nation through healing, just like, boom, blessing the moon goddess, everybody, just nobody dies.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, but like if you attack them too much, they are going to go on the offense. But for now, the woodlands are generally very conserved. They keep to themselves. If you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you. And that is why Estes hasn't really declared war or anything. But just know that because they have been invaded before, there's a lot of bloodshed that went on in the past.
Wait, but who invaded them?
The Abyss, basically the demons, the devils from hell.
Oh.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, talking about the Abyss, it actually exists within the Land of Dawn, right? You would think that the Abyss is one of the special areas, but not really. It's directly south of the Moniyan Empire, so it's pretty close to the Woodlands. The Woodlands is southeast of the Empire, the Abyss is directly south. But we don't call them as the Abyss. We call this entire area as the Barren Lands. And just like the name suggests, there's nothing much there. The reputation of the Barren Lands is basically just pure corrupted evil, corrupted souls. It's a lot of demons and devils and just otherworldly creatures roam the land. And the main force in the Barren Lands is called the Abyss. Basically, kind of like their version of Hades or Lucifer of the devil, or the devil himself.
Okay, so this is like Demon Nation Central.
Yes, it's Demon Nation, basically.
Okay.
And whatever demons that you see, and including some of the heroes, are related to the Abyss.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I think I played like enough Magic Chess to know like a couple of them, like Moskov's, Rizla, so on and so forth. All right. So, okay, if this is like the south, this is like directly south.
Far southeast.
So even further
Even
down.
further, our collection of islands, the archipelagos, it's called the Vonitis Island. Very isolated, but it is, a very beautiful place. There's beautiful scenery. You see the ocean, and these islands are inhabited by tribes. Ancient tribes who are isolated from the land, and at the same time, their connection to mainland are ports and harbors, primarily for trades. And these tribes also have their own tribal heroes. One of them being Lapu Lapu.
Wait, so they're basically like Southeast Asia, essentially, right?
Yeah, they're basically like Southeast Asia, Philippines, right? A lot of islands.
An archipelago, yeah, it makes sense. It's starting to add up.
Basically, Philippines to a certain extent. And they are actually a very peaceful nation. But in recent times, the Abyss have spread their influence. So, at some point of time, it is going to affect the island, slowly but surely. And I think the people there, the tribals, have already selected their individual heroes to protect their land when push comes to shove. And again, Lapu Lapu is one of those heroes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I think last on the list is the north side of the Land of Dawn. Am I correct?
Absolutely. North side, the North Pole is called the Northern Vale. Very straightforward. It's very cold. A lot of ice and snow. It has a queen, and that queen is called Aurora. A queen of ice, ruler of the entire Northern Vale. But it's not your typical North Pole. It has a queen. It also has space-time rifts.
Huh? What?
Yeah, so space-time rifts, like your wormholes that monsters and demons spawn from, most of them are in the Northern Vale. And on top of that, it also has a place called the Martyr Halls. And the Martyr Halls is a place where the fallen brave souls that have fought for justice, they get laid to rest, and their souls get escorted by Valkyries to Valhalla. So one of the Valkyries that we all know is Freya. She guides the souls at Martyr Hall all the way to Valhalla.
What? So okay. So you're telling me this entire area are like space-time traveling NASA-esque Vikings?
Yes, there's Viking, there's supernatural entities, and there's space, I guess.
What? There's
space travel in NASA, and there's there's Valhalla.
That's a lot. Okay, fair enough.
For an area in the northern side, for the coldest area of the Land of Dawn, it sure has a lot of interesting things going on.
I hope they got Space Santa there.
Maybe, we have the special areas, just a collection of areas that exist outside the Land of Dawn. We don't know much about these areas, but there are some that are related to our heroes. Zaz, for example, comes from a special area called the Cadeia. The Cadeia is a kingdom filled with insects. So Zaz is the king of Cadeia. He leads the insects.
Okay. It's all like, even just within the introduction, like I'm getting a very good idea of like the heroes and kind of at the very least some of their background, right? I feel like it's kind of like they kind of stack on each other. But okay, so that concludes it. This is going to be just an introduction to the Land of Dawn and some of the key major regions that we're going to be covering throughout this series. How many videos is going to take? Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it as much as I am learning about it. But HusKKiee, give us a bit of a sneak peek for the upcoming video. Like, what story, what narrative are we going to follow, or at least take a big chunk out of first?
We're going to talk about this hero that was there since the very beginning of Mobile Legends. A hero that was picked at every single rank in Mobile Legends and always warrants a mandatory report at the end of the game, regardless if you win or lose with it. We're going to talk about Alucard.
I was thinking Zilong for a moment there, but I like Alucard. I like Alucard a lot. I'm very curious about like about his lore and like his hand and the sword. It's like a whole bunch of things. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you want to make sure that you're up to date with all these lore videos or anything else on this channel, make sure you hit that notification bell. And if you haven't yet, just subscribe. And HusKKiee, where can they find you?
You can find me at all my socials at HusKKiee, HusKKiee. And yeah, hit the bell.
Hit that bell, boys
I
and
prepared a
girls.
bell just for this.
Just for this one bit. Alright, we'll see you guys on our next video. Hopefully you stick around for that.